What's up, y'all? We West Coasting today. I heard my subwoofer. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry, y'all. My sub was rattling. I was like, "Why is my sub rattling?" And I had a copy of Siddhartha that was on my sub. This is a good book, man. This is a great book to read, Siddhartha. It's a book about the journey in life. And I've read this book like 4 or 5 times. It's like, matter of fact, I haven't read it in about 2 or 3 years. I probably need to read it again. It's a short book, but it's a book about the journey of life and how in life, you know, whether you're at the beginning of the river, the middle of the river, or the end of the river, you're still in the river. So when it comes to your childhood, adulthood, whatever stage you are in your life, understand that you've gone through different stages. Have respect for other people's stages in their lives, and be willing to grow so you can get to your new stages in life. So this is a great book to illustrate that. I don't know why. Maybe that's what. Maybe I don't know why I said that, but maybe that's why my sub was rattling. I can tell that to somebody out there who's listening. Maybe somebody out there needs a book on the journeys of life. And if that's you, take the message. If it ain't for you, let it roll. So I want to have this very, very, very important discussion today. And again, thank y'all for listening. All my new subs, old subs. What's up, AW1, Cyberdyne, Felix Speaks, Mark, Devin, what's up, y'all? So, and salute to everybody over on Twitter. Everybody listening over on Twitter. Everybody listening on YouTube. Everybody on Facebook, Twitch, and all them goddamn places. Welcome, 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 welcome. I'm getting this in now because I got shit to do later on. But this is a message to other groups of people and a message to Black people. This is a message to everybody. I want to say that this is being this show has been inspired. It's been inspired by a call that I got into the last show on Friday. And it was a good discussion I had with somebody. And they were talking, I forgot who that was, but they were talking about how Black Americans, you know, it seems as if out of nowhere, we're talking about immigrants and we're talking about that. And I get it. I get the sudden, you know, the sudden like abruptness of it, I should say, from other people and them getting thrown off. So after that call, I just had some thoughts. I was like, you know what? And this has kind of been on my mind for a little while now. I was like, you know what? A lot of people got it twisted when it comes to who the Black American is. And it's not of their own, I'll say it is somewhat your fault, because if you go somewhere to a new environment, you really should study that environment. But on the other end, it's not their fault, because even if they wanted to study the environment, if they weren't privy to a Dr. Claude Anderson or a Dick Gregory or a Dr. John Henry Clark, if all they did study, especially if they went to an HBCU, they study a whole bunch of token niggas. And So even the learned amongst our immigrant class, they're learning from a bunch of token ass niggas. And so there's a lot of misconceptions about Black America. I want to start off by saying that I do not speak for the totality of Black America. I speak from my perspective. And I speak from what I observe, not only from me and my city, but also nationally. I jump around this country a lot. I've never been someone that sits on my ass. I like being in a new zip code, in a new time zone all the time. So I've been around this place, and I'm like I said, I'm trained. Study cultural anthropology, so I know how to research and study. So I know what questions to ask. Not calling myself an expert, but what I am saying is this: today's show is just my observations from me seeing what I see and knowing what I know through my experience, through questions. And other people have different experiences. Other people draw different conclusions. My experience comes from being born and raised in South Central LA. And I want to start off by saying there's like a common bond between those of us that are born like in the middle, in the hoods of our cities, and being raised in the city, whether you were in the city in Baltimore, DC, Atlanta, Dallas, Houston. If you were raised in the inner of your city, if you were raised in the inner goings and the inner guts of your city, you have a different perspective than people who were raised on the outskirts of the cities. And not to diminish those people, there's just a different kind of perspective. And I said that to say because propaganda plays a huge role in our misconceptions of people. And propaganda, especially of Black people, comes from the stories of the inner city. You don't really see much propaganda about those Black people raised on the outer skirts of their cities. You don't see or hear much music or watch TV shows about Black people or movies about Black people that live in the suburbs. They're very rare. The majority, 95% of the propaganda, 99% of the propaganda is on Black people raised in the inner city of their cities. So that's why I'm making that distinction between those of us raised on the inner city of our cities and those raised on the outskirts of our cities, because in a lot of ways, I've observed even Black Americans having this strong misconception of what it is to be Black based on what they see. And that point of view came from listening to a Charleston White interview about a month ago. And I was listening to him like talk about his perception. And no, Charleston White is somebody that you either agree with or you don't agree with. I don't care. This isn't about what you agree with. I look at him from a big picture point of view, like, okay, what is he talking about today? A lot of stuff I agree with, a lot of stuff I don't agree with. But whether I agree with him or not doesn't matter when it comes to this particular subject, because it's a lot of shit I really don't agree with him with. And on the stuff I disagree with him on, I started to see a sort of a picture into his world. And he talked about being raised in the suburbs with parents with a good income, and him, because I noticed when he talks about being Black, he's always talking about the criminal. He's always talking about the thugs. Anytime Charleston White mentions Black culture, he's talking about the propaganda, basically. What you hear in pop radio. He'll ignore jazz. He'll ignore all the other genres we're great in and still currently popular in. He'll ignore an Anderson .Paak. He'll ignore all this and gravitate to the degeneracy of our culture. And that's generally his point of view when he's talking about Black culture. His point of view is generally on what's pushed out. And then when I heard an interview from him talking about how he was raised basically in the suburbs, that got me thinking again along the lines of, yeah, a lot of my friends and people I know raised in the suburbs, like here in LA, cats raised in the valley, they think Black is degeneracy. I've noticed that. And I'm talking about 7 out of 10. Like when the dudes, they related to what they saw in 90s hip hop rap. They related to movies like Colors and Boys in the Hood. And over the last 30, 40 years, the perception of Blackness has become this gangster culture, this criminal culture basically, because niggas grew up watching movies like Colors and Menace to Society and New Jack City, and listening to Death Row Records, listening to Bad Boy Records. This stuff became the predominant image of what it was like to be inner city and black. So in my perception, I've noticed a lot of people who aren't from the inner city, they started to, you hear them talk even now as adults, they want to say blood and cuz, and those of us raised in the inner city, if we didn't bang, we don't say that shit. If you from LA and you don't actually bang, you never say blood or cuz. But I noticed even niggas from like Pasadena, they quick to just, I had some friends, they be like, blood this. I'm like, you know, I be ducking this shit. Like, nigga, you said blood. Because I was raised in BPS hood. That was the blood hood. But I didn't bang. So since I didn't bang, there's no fucking way you're ever going to hear me say the word blood. No way. That would, no. Different rules. But I noticed throughout my life, people who are not raised in the inner city, the shit is like a game to them. It's like, it's this, and Death Row Records played a large part of it. Death Row Records played a huge, I'm not gonna look, I can criticize my coast. I ain't like a lot of you niggas that just be, oh, everything my city does is great. No, LA did a horrible job during the 90s of using studio gangsters to describe what LA life is like, and I'm in the same with other cities. Did a horrible job of really breaking it down. So people have these misconceptions of us, and stick with me, chat room, stick with me. I'm going from current, and I'm gonna go way back, and then we gonna come back to the present. So today we're gonna be talking for a little bit. If you want to call in, hold your questions. I'm probably gonna be done monologuing in about 45 minutes. But if you want to call in, make sure you're listening, because if you say some shit and I can tell you weren't listening, I'm gonna say some shit to clown your monkey ass. All right, so let's get it in. So we gonna speak to all. We about to clear up some misconceptions, and I'm gonna start. Of course, I'm gonna start in house with those of us within Black America, and then I'm gonna come and check the rest of you niggas after that, because there's been a whole lot of bullshit going on. Okay, but we can start off by going to DewanB.com. Oh, that's a card reading up there. Go to DewanB.com. Sign up for my email list and all my updates. I'm gonna send out some more some dope shit today. I'm gonna send out. So please sign up right now at DewanB.com. Go to DewanB.com and get your t-shirts in the shop. You know you dig. You know, you get the music history course. And also sign up right now for my email list. I'm bringing back my card reading class. You want to learn how to read cards? I am bringing back the class. And we're going to get some one-on-one instruction. Also, this documentary you see right here, I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to Ace Magazine. Ace Magazine is actually awarding my documentary as part of BET Awards weekend. My documentary is Bigger Than Hip Hop, the Black American Music Family Tree, along with my co-creator Hassan Wells. What's up, my man Hassan? I don't know if you're here or not. But they're Ace Magazine this coming Thursday. If you're in LA, they actually have a few tickets available for the public. But they're actually part of the BET Experience weekend, and they are awarding my documentary. It's Bigger Than Hip Hop, the Black American Music Family Tree. My man Brennan T. Jackson gonna be hosting. That's what's up. So yeah, thank y'all for that. So this is the first award for the documentary. This is the first of many. And I want to say thank you to everybody that's donated to the campaign, everybody who's purchased the document, who came to the live watch party, because I put it out there for free. But those of you who came for the live watch party for the first one, those of you donating to the second one that we're putting together right now, I want to thank you. I want to thank you. So That's where we at right now, okay? So I appreciate y'all. So let's first start. Let's first start, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna first start with the inner city and with black folks. I'm gonna start with us first, and then I may expand the conversation. We ain't gangsters, black people. We're not. We're not gangsters. We're not. We are people, we are rebellious. We're very rebellious. We're rebels because we've always rebelled against this system that we're in. We've never accepted this system that we're in totality. So for that reason, we're definitely rebellious. We're definitely rebels, but we're not gangsters. Not gangsters. Gangsters being gangster is a reaction to the environment that we're in. We don't make any drugs. We aren't the originators of any drug or alcoholic pipeline. We only really, when it comes down to it in today's time, really use our guns. We only use our guns against each other. That's not gangster. That is a reaction to being in a system of imprisonment, a system of great confinement, as Neely Fuller says, and being victims of a white supremacist system that targets us economically and creates us to cause crimes of depravity. We're not gangsters. But because of 90s music, here, those of us raised here in the inner city, South Central, we the ones that got all the movies made about us. We the ones that got all of the TV shows and shit depicting our lifestyle. And those of us raised inside that inner city, we gotta sit around and listen to motherfuckers raised out there in these safe ass neighborhoods use language, act tough, and then turn around and say it's black culture. I gotta sit around and listen to a dude, Charleston White, interesting fellow, by the way. I'm not here to disparage him. I just noticed that when he talked about being raised in the suburbs and then coming in town to visit his cousin, and that's all he saw. Yeah, when you come and visit, it's a different thing than when you all up in it and you live it. When you live in the hood is far more today was a good day than it is gangster. 99.9% of your existence in the hood is going to be today was a good day. Now, some people have really screwed up families, and their family environment within the hood gets them into a lot of situations, and that's messed up because that happens a lot. But it's a lot more people out there whose families don't abuse them, who don't do things, and the flavor is all good. And even those who are being abused within a home, abuse happens in all neighborhoods. Black neighborhoods, white neighborhoods, hood neighborhoods, non-hood neighborhoods. Abuse is an extremely tough problem in the United States of America, regardless of what hood you from, regardless of where you live from. So my first thing is to other black Americans, man, stop all that, especially if you ain't even from South Central, if you ain't from Brooklyn, Harlem, if you ain't from the inner loop of Atlanta, the inner South Dallas, Third Ward, Houston, or whatever those, man, stop all that, man. Cats that grew up in that environment, we did see a whole lot. Although it was 99% of the time today was a good day, that 1%, that 5% of the time it wasn't today was a good day, was a problem. I saw 3 people be murdered in front of my face by the time I was 9. That's why I don't, no, 10. 1991 was the last time. But in 87, 89, and 91, I saw somebody get shot. One time on the way home from elementary school, going down Coliseum, it was right here. I saw somebody get shot right here. I never forget, me and my dad, it was 91 because we was watching Oprah, and it was that day that Magic was on Oprah talking about him having AIDS. If y'all remember, when Magic had HIV, it was one of them episodes. And I'll never forget, I was with my father and we was leaving. And I was right over here, Dorsey High School. And it happened right here. It's called Obama now, but back then it was called Rodeo Road. And that shit happened right here. I was walking down the street and like getting ready to go out. And right here in these motherfucking apartments, somebody was coming out of Dorsey High School, walking down Rodeo Lane, and then crack, 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 crack. I had to see that shit. And it was some Bloods that did it. You think I want to hear some nigga from the suburbs say blood all day? Niggas like me, I gotta watch Snowfall. I ain't watching no fucking Snowfall. All these goddamn TV shows where we was riding our bikes and we just was trying to have a good time that day, and we see some shit because we in an environment that's fucked up, and you get all these motherfuckers from outside of that world, and then you hear them talking about that's black. No, that's not black culture, because those of us who grew up in that shit did not like it. This was two people who had a violent interaction over some shit that happened that I don't know about. And I just happened to be walking down the street, walking my happy ass, walking my dog Rex, then crack. That's not black culture, fucking idiot. That's traumatic to black culture. That ain't who the fuck we are. If that was black culture, we would be looking at that and be like, oh man, everything is good, man. You saw that person get shot, man. No, nigga, that shit was hard to go to school the next day and walk right past that murder scene. That shit wasn't fun. That shit, gangster shit is not black culture. And to the cast that I know who are gangsters, they don't call, those are situations that they was put in. Family situations led them to people who are going to be a greater family than the family that they had. That's most gangster situations. I got cousins. I literally got cousins who, I'm not going to say which ones, but my cousins who listen and know who I'm talking about. I got a cousin that put her 9- and 8-year-old on the set. A 9- and an 8-year-old on the set. And both of them are still living. Thank God. One of them just got out. The other one, man, is a good dude. Like, he was put into a situation he didn't want to be in. But that particular cousin had a whole situation with their mom that was a victim of the crack epidemic, that although that's family, I still can't judge them. I think my dad didn't get hooked on crack. But some people's families did get hooked on crack. And they became victims of circumstances to where the kids went to the family that they knew, because the family that they had wasn't there for them because of the situations that they was in. You dig? This is what we saw growing up. We got to see the story behind why the hood nigga exists, and it wasn't pretty. I got two cousins that was from a set out here that are both now rest in peace. But both of them was the ones that whoopty-whamp the booty bamps, if you dig what I'm saying. But both of them have family situations, because here in LA, drug addicts exist. 16% of every population, anywhere from 15.9, black people have the lowest percentage, by the way, anywhere from 15 to 18% of any population is going to get hooked on drugs. That's just a fact. Look it up. Anywhere from 15.5 to 18%. It's across race, Asian, Latino, white, black, wherever. In America, people are going to get hooked on drugs. And in the 80s, our group in particular was targeted for a specific kind of drug, and it fucked up families. And what we saw growing up in the hood was the effect of that. Only for suburban niggas to run around thinking that's part of black culture. That's not black culture. It's a circumstance of black culture. Black culture, other than getting shot, this where we was. If you from South Central, you know what this is. This building is no longer there, but if you from South Central, you know what this is. You know what this is. Y'all know that story I tell? This is where I grew up playing basketball right here. You know that story I tell about all the Bloods that used to be on the diving board? Y'all remember that story I told? That was at this pool right here. When niggas wasn't shooting each other, we was having a good time in South Central LA. They say people from the hood can't swim. Shit. Niggas was doing triple somersaults. Niggas was doing, nigga, you had Bloods swan diving off that motherfucker. Nigga. You had nigga, boy, that was hood life. Nigga, that was hood life. I did a lot of things. Oh, mama. Cause youth service was a motherfucker.
What church?
Let me see that part. I'm looking for a part in this one where I was talking about that in this podcast. Wait, here it is. Here, I found it. Here's a story I was telling on another podcast about this pool. Shouts out to Saint Nick and On the Spot Soto podcast. Subscribe to this podcast. Listen to a hood story. Let me see. Here it is. Wait, my bad. My audio was off. This is me talking about growing up in the hood.
My dad, we was like 10 houses from our house. My dad popped out and everybody in the neighborhood respected my dad. And he was like, "Oh, are you what you read? Okay." That was one time. But that same cousin Corey, we used to go to the Rancho Cienega pool. And my first time watching the Olympics, I was disappointed, the diving. Because I was like, man, them niggas is good, because I was used to the niggas that was diving at the Rancho Cienega Park.
Yeah, well.
The BPS, them Bloods niggas. Them niggas will bounce on that diving board, throw they sit up, do a triple somersault, hit that hole, no splash. And then be like, nah, Blood, I got the next one. And I'm a kid watching it. My cousin Corey was one of them. Like, them niggas would throw the setup, it had no splash. So when I saw Greg Louganis, he wasn't as good as the niggas from the hood.
Nah, that's funny. He said no splash.
No splash.
Hilarious, bro.
But they never, they would throw their hood up. Nigga. And that shit was amazing to me.
Hey, you got me over here dying. That's fucking funny.
Hell yeah, but I was a square, so they didn't fuck with me.
You know what? I grew up going to Jesse Owens.
Yeah.
My mama used to be the Jesse Owens pool.
They be diving one day.
Man, I used to dive off that motherfucker, man. That big tall ass.
Hey, Saint Nick, these East Coast niggas don't know. Like, they all be like, man, black folks can't swim. Shit. Nigga, the diving from the niggas on the set.
Man, every damn near back then, especially back then, every park down there had a pool.
Man, look, I would love to see the Athens Park versus BPS diving competition. Nigga, there we go. Fuck the shoot. Them niggas going because they had Kelly Park right there, nigga.
You see?
Get the Mona.
Down there had a pool.
Man, look, I would love to see the Athens Park versus BPS diving competition, nigga. There we go. Fuck the shoot.
Come on, man.
Nigga,
hey.
if we can get them niggas going because they had Kelly Park right there, nigga. Get the Mona Park divers, nigga, versus, man, come on, man. If we could have got video of that shit with the Jerry Crows in 1987, nigga.
Hilarious. Niggas coming up, man, looking like a commercial.
Well, whole Jerry Crows like,
niggas swinging.
Nigga, they put their clothes on and go right back out to banging.
I was one of them motherfuckers with a Jerry curl, man. Come up out the club shaking my shit. Bitch be like, yeah, oh, they got good hair.
AC Green in the pool.
Yeah, that's my man Saint Nick, and that was a fun broadcast that we did because, you know, Saint Nick, he was from a different part of the hood than I was, and this is the pool that I was talking about right here on that. This is the pool that I was talking about right here in South Central LA. So I'm saying all that for a reason. I'm saying all that for a reason in clearing up misconceptions of Black America. We are a people that are extremely cultured, and we're not a monolith. And our culture expresses itself differently in different cities. And the hood ain't all bad. Everybody in the hood ain't gangsters. Everybody don't bang. And the gangsters respect the squares. In this broadcast, you had a former street cat and a current square. He's former street cat, but when we grew up in LA, he was on the streets and I was a square. We had respect then and we got respect now because that's how it always was been. And it's the same. I hear the same stories about cats from the inner cities in Atlanta, from the inner cities in Jacksonville, Florida, from the inner cities of Chicago. It's a different story. And we get these TV shows and this music that talks about an aspect about what we went through, but you never get the story in totality. And people think that everything in the hood is bad. We think everybody in the hood don't get along. We think everybody in the hood is gangster and banging. And I'm over here walking around being a regular ass LA nigga. Y'all don't understand how annoyed I get when people come to me saying the word cuz of blood, and I know they didn't bang. Like, that's just a novelty to you weird ass niggas. It's not to us. You grew up in that shit. That was the majority of the hood, what we talked about. But then the same people you saw diving off the diving board, you gotta wake up one day and hear that they got murdered in front of the goddamn liquor store last night. You gotta wake up one day and one of those young black men who could have been an Olympic diver, you gotta hear about him getting shot up or some shit happening to him because of his circumstances and situations. Just to have people from where the fuck we come from to act like it's all good and be talking like, you niggas is stop that shit. Hell yeah. Athens Park, hell yeah. Helen Keller Park, hell yeah. So if you from the inner city of your hood or your city, you know what I'm talking about. Having to listen to people who aren't from the inner city be the main ones running their mouth about the inner city. Man, you know, it's from the hood, man. And you know, LA folks is hood. And you know, black folks, you gotta turn on goddamn, every goddamn YouTube video you watch, they're making black people synonymous with hood. And I'm talking about us. So I said that to say in this message to the immigrant community, you guys have been under a lot of misconceptions about us because the white people who control the media have allowed the degenerates to hold the mic. You see what's coming on now out about Puffy. Wait till y'all see what's coming out about Jay-Z. Shit. The degenerates get the biggest platform. The degenerates are the loudest in America since the 90s. It wasn't like that before the 90s. Black America was represented by more of a sophisticated, we had a more sophisticated look in the 80s and prior. But as we got into the 90s, culture got low. And it wasn't something that we put out on our own. It's something that was put out beyond on our behalf to our detriment by our enemy. And if you're an immigrant, you should understand about the images the United States projects here about where you come from. You should be the most sensitive about what I'm talking about here. Because you know the United States be putting up some bullshit propaganda about your people and where you come from. Black people that are from the suburbs, you know the kind of bullshit that they say. And you get mad and you'll feel like a victim when it happens to you. But then you'll turn around and look at us funny. Oh, those black Americans are lazy. Those black Americans are lazy. Those black Americans are just gangsters. And then they put up shit like this bullshit sexy red or unsexy red. They put these images out there about us. People like her. And that goddamn, where is it at? No, I'm typing in. I'm trying to look it up. Yeah, why is Twitter? Ugh. I'm glad I had them images up. Let me see here, because it was some video that she just recently put out. It was some video. Here it is. Here it is. Here it is right here. She got this, doing this for our ancestors. And this is why I don't go totally jack shit on non-FBA people, because it's the black Americans that are showing y'all how to disrespect us. We are these kind of images that we put out. It was the foundation of Black America that put out the gangster. Even though it was funded by them white folks, we embraced the early 90s gangster image. We did. Let's tell the whole fucking truth. And through our embrace, through our acceptance of this bullshit, we degenerate to where we are right now. We have to take some responsibility into this too, black people. We got to go back to setting standards. We're the generation that fought against our parents back in the 90s. Back in the 90s when you had, what's her name, C. Dolores Tucker, when you had all them people talking about the negative imagery of black people, we wanted it. We fought for it. We said we have freedom of speech. We said we should be able to do this. And because there was a lot of negative imagery of black people pre-60s, but the black people of the 60s, as you get to the 70s and 80s, they fought really hard for positive imagery of black people. From people like Bill Cosby, I don't care how you feel about him, he put nothing but good imagery of black people on, even though I wasn't the biggest fan of the Cosby Show, because it just wasn't my show. But I cannot say anything negative about the imagery that he put out and what he fought for. And the imagery of the black people of the 70s that they were putting out, of our chin being high, families being together. Yes, you had some blaxploitation films like Claudine, that was negative imagery, but you also had positive imagery like movies like Shaft. You had negative imagery with shows like Good Times, but you also had positive imagery. Even within the negative imagery of Good Times, you still had love. Love was still the centerpiece of that propaganda. You had the Jeffersons. There was a time to where we fought really, really, really hard for about a 20-year period to have really clean images of us, only to get destroyed in the 90s. We destroyed that in the 90s. BET helped destroy that. We got to tell the whole fucking truth. In the 90s, that's when it started. Lil' Kim, when we accepted that, we should have never accepted that, but we did. At least back in the 70s, when you had Sylvia Robinson, her music was basically labeled as pornographic. It was like, and I love songs like Sweet Stuff. I love Sylvia Robinson in that music of her sound, that very sensual sound. But she was basically labeled as, okay, we still listen to you, but look, that's over here with it. All right, we didn't mainstream it. We fought really hard for that for a period of time, and only to let it go in the 90s and allow it to degenerate to where it is right now. That's just a fact, no matter how we feel about it. And I grew up in the 90s, but we at least still had a balance in the 90s. You would have ratchet shit like South Central and Boys in the Hood. Well, Boys in the Hood wasn't really ratchet. It was I think Boys in the Hood was the most accurate depiction of what went on in the hood. But you had ratchet shit like Men's to Society. But the same year Men's to Society dropped, you also had Boomerang. So at least in the 90s, there was still a balance. You had Boomerang. You had Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. You had Martin. Martin was just general neutral. It wasn't hood. It wasn't rich. It was just good, wholesome, fun, funny entertainment, you know? You had shows like Martin that wasn't really pushing propaganda. It was just pushing funny, you know? Living Single. And so we had a balance at least in the 90s. You know, there's a lot of ratchet, a lot of bullshit we started to accept. And I was part of the generation that wanted it. I'm not gonna lie, but I was also only 12. I was also only 12. But I remember wanting it. And I don't mind vulgarity. I don't mind it. But we have to be honest about our position. We have to be honest about our position. So when we come around the next time around, we be like, whoop, made that mistake last time. A younger generation. See, where the communication gap happened was the older generation, they were very judgmental. You guys don't know what real music is. Yada, 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 yada. And you old niggas from the 90s know what the fuck I'm talking about. And so it made the younger generation be like, man, fuck you. That's just what happened. So we gotta be the generation when we see the bullshit come back around, like, yo, let's be honest about it. We made that mistake. My bad. We gotta be humble about what we fucked up. We made the mistake of rolling back the positive imagery our people before us tried to lay down for us. You know what I mean? We can't do that this time. We gotta make a different decision. Because how you're seen is how you're perceived. And America has gone long and hard on negative imagery of black people. And we've had these blips in time to where we can fight back and have an image of ourselves, only for that to be wrestled out of our control, generally through the economy. Big bank take little bank. Our means of communication, our media, our magazines, our newspapers being basically bought out the market and forced out. Big bank take little bank. Going back to the black newspapers of the 1860s and 1870s, even of the 1820s in the free northern states. We've always had this fight. And that's the overall synopsis of what I'm saying today when it comes to my message to the immigrant, to the non-black American. We don't have time. And I want to make this very clear to my non-black American friends, my immigrant friends, my non-FBAs, my white people, Latinos, if you're non-black American, whatever you are. I want to make something very clear. We don't have time to play these games with you. One thing I commonly hear is when I hear from people from other parts of the country that come to America, they always say, we don't know y'all. Black Americans need to learn us. Black Americans need to sit down with us and talk to us and learn who we are. This is what I want to tell you. We ain't got time for all that shit. Because you have come into a 400-year-long war that the people of Europe have created on the people of the Americas. The Black American, the American Indian, the American Aboriginal. Also those black people who were imported from Africa to amalgamate with the native, the Black American. This has been a thing going on between us for a long time. And you need to learn the history of where you are. Learn who you're dealing with. When y'all say things like the Black American is being mean to us and they don't know who we are, understand this. You're in our home. You're in our home. And you don't go to somebody else's home and say, hey, learn me. It's your job to learn the rules of that home. It's your job to know whether or not to take your shoes off when you enter the door. It's your job to find out and listen to whether or not that home allows you to curse or not. It's your job to learn whether or not that home allows you to smoke weed, smoke cigarettes, drink booze, talk about Jesus, Muhammad, or whatever. When you go into someone else's home, you learn the lay of the land of the home. You don't ask the people at that home to learn you. It's not their job. And in America, the Black America, we're home. The Black American, we're at home. And we're in a home that's doing everything it can do to evict us. So when the home that you built, fought for, invested in, sold in, paid taxes on, you're in that home, and the bank of that home that got the deed to your home unjustly, they stole the deed to your home, you're fighting to keep that home. While you're fighting to keep your home from repossession, from getting kicked out of it, like America's been trying to do us for 400 years, you still got to clean it up. And in this home, part of what you asked for 50, 60 years ago was to allow new people into this home to help support this home. Let's take the tape off. Y'all not allowing any people who look like us into this home, into this neighborhood. And we allowed these people into this home, into this neighborhood that we're being gentrified out of, kicked out of. And when these people come into this home, most of them are cool, like the people listening. Most of them are cool. But there's a contingent of people that are now in this home that are working with the people outside of the home to get you evicted out of this home, out of this neighborhood. What would you do in that situation? Knowing that you've been in this home, me personally, since the 1630s, 1640s. How would you feel? Would you have much patience for how people feel when you're addressing the people that you've invited in your home, actively working with the people that are trying to evict you out of your home that you paid for with your blood, sweat, tears, and cash? Because we've been paying taxes since taxes have been a name in the United States. Ever since taxes have been levied, Black Americans have been paying them. And all of us weren't enslaved all the time. We were different periods in time we've been enslaved. Some bloodlines didn't get enslaved until the 1800s. They were free bloodlines until the 1830s in some cases. And then enslaved the last 30, 40 years of slavery through the intra-continental slave trade. Black Americans living in Ohio, Indiana, being captured and sold into slavery down south. Black people living in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, free, being captured and sold to plantations down south. So it's not a monolithic story. We've been paying taxes in this land since taxes have been due in this land. So we have a different relationship with this land. And part of the reason why we've been dealing with this issue that we're facing is because we've had internal Negroes the whole time that have been selling us out. Going back to the Yamasee Wars in Florida, when those Cherokees fought with the white supremacists against the black people, the black Seminoles, to the Mississippian Wars with the French were doing before the Mississippian Wars, getting black tribes to turn. They've always used us against us. And as we got to the 50s and the 60s, we really started to clean a lot of that stuff up. You know? And even now, we have a culture of identifying the Al Sharptons in our neighborhood, in our community. We identify the Jesse Jackson's name ain't been good in Black America since the 90s. It was good in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s. But by the time it got to the 90s, it wasn't good no more after some of the shit we saw him doing by then. We on constant alert for traitors. And when we see them, we call them out. Because we as a people, we've always fought. We've always fought. We've always fought. We are a fighting lot. We are a fighting group of people. We're not gangsters, but we ain't soft either. Y'all been under misconceptions because a lot of these Democrat Negroes that's been put out there. And now we get people of color who come into our neighborhoods, come into our homes and shit on it. And they help the white supremacists. We got to deal with people like Drake coming in, imitating the sound and getting all of the credit and all the notoriety, while the black artists he mock and imitate coming up get pushed off to the side. Careers get put away. But even Drake, he learned that formula from Jay-Z, mocking and shitting on careers. So that's what we're up against as a people. We're at an internal war and an external war. And a lot of that war is done through means of propaganda. And through the propaganda, we're in constant fight with not only traitors from within, not only white supremacists, but other Black Americans and other people who are so-called people of color. You see Nick Fuentes, a man named Fuentes, being the goddamn leader of the Proud Birds. We're dealing with that Spookio guy. We're dealing with, you saw the shit Andrew Tate said about black people. His goddamn daddy is black. We're dealing with from all points of view. And what's happening now is we as a people, we're just kind of saying enough, you know? We kind of, right now we're at a point to where we're saying enough. We're saying enough as a people because you got people like me, college graduate, when I was applying for jobs, before I went into business for myself, applying for jobs and getting turned down time after time and time again because my name is Dewan Brown. You see that nigga spelling to my name? Look at that nigga spelling. As a matter of fact, read that nigga spelling and type it in Cash App. And if you're feeling what I'm saying today, please donate a few dollars to the cause. $ Dewan Brown. $ Dewan Brown. Hold 1 second. All right. So I had to mute it real quick. Sorry for muting y'all, but I don't want y'all to know who I was talking to, so I had to put y'all on mute. Well, anyway, we as Black Americans, we're tired of it because the majority of us, like I'm going back to my story about being Dewan Brown. Being named Dewan Brown, this is how I know. I A/B tested. When I graduated from college in 2005, my whole time in college, just to give you backstory of who I am and where my frustration and where this message is coming from and where my point of view is coming from. Again, I'm only offering my point of view. I graduated college in 2005. The actual ceremony was in 2006 because I graduated December 05. When I was in college, I worked part-time at a bank called Washington Mutual Bank. I don't know if y'all remember that bank, Washington Mutual Bank. It was really big here on the West Coast, out of Seattle. And I wish you'd answer that goddamn phone in the background. Hold on one second. I gotta solve this noise. Hold on. It stopped. So I worked at Washington Mutual Bank. And I had a side business, I always had a side hustle. Always keep you a side hustle, black people. So I worked at the bank full-time, not full-time, part-time. I worked 30 hours a week. While going to college, I was in college, I would take anywhere from something on a light schedule, 9 units, on a heavy schedule, 12 units. So basically 4 classes a semester is what I was taking in college. 4 classes a semester, worked 30 hours a week, and I had a side business. Any of my loans that I had at Washington Mutual, which was A-paper loans, if they got disqualified, I had like a side Alt-A. That's where they get the word alt-right from. It was called Alt-A lending, meaning alternative A credit. Usually credit scores 660 and up. 600 and up. I was dealing in A-paper 720 and above FICO scores at the time. So I was really good at this shit, right? Worked at the bank. And then when I graduated from the bank, I went into doing the loan part full time. You know, I worked at 2 different loan agencies, commission only type jobs. But during that time, I not only had a college degree, but I also had, and when we get to 2007, 2008, I'm now dealing with a college degree and 8 years experience in banking. 9 years experience in banking because I started in 1999. College degree, 7, 8, 9 years experience. DeJuan Brown applied for every bank in LA. Bank of America, Wells Fargo. At the time, California Savings and Loans was still open. This before the crash of 2008, before everything crashed. I applied everywhere. And do you know DeJuan Brown got 0 callbacks? DeJuan Brown got all the time, and in this whole time I'm hearing, well, black people are always complaining, who's taking your jobs? We're not taking nobody's job. You're just taking the jobs that no one wants. Get a college degree. I got a college degree, and y'all see how the fuck smart I am, nigga. Me. This is me, baby, me. Could not get an interview. Then I changed my name on my application and resumes, and I changed it to Don, D-O-N, Brown. Don Brown, I got an interview at Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Countrywide. Don Brown got 15 interviews. DeJuan Brown got 0. Don, D-O-N Brown, got 15 interviews. Only for me to walk into the interview and they'll be like, hey, black people, you know that look. When they see you, Don Brown, please, and you stand up and they're like, hi. That initial and then followed by the fake bullshit. Yeah. So you got people like me who followed the program and nobody wanted to fuck with me. So I had to create my own business. And that's how I got into working with kids. Because that job, it was a friend's mom who was the hiring manager at that company I worked at. So because a friend's mom was the direct hiring manager, I got a job making 20% of what I was making before. But when that housing crash happened, I couldn't get a job in banking. So I had to get a job making 20% of what I made in 2009. I got a job making 20% of what I made in 2007. Because I had to get something. And then I got family. I'm not going to say which family member. But I got a family member that got a master's degree from Pepperdine University. So that's a big college here in LA. You know that man spent over 8 years and couldn't get a job and had 15 years experience in HR. 15 years experience, master's degree, no fucking job. He had to totally switch course and do something that's far below what he's worth. And I appreciate you, Tabitha, for the Cash App. That's the story of being black in America. Black, foundational black American in ADOS, whatever you want to call it. That is a large part of our story. Most of us ain't gangsters. But most of us did follow the system and do what we were told to do. We were told to go get jobs. We were told to be quiet, be humble, accept what's given to us, go get a job, and we don't have no gangster credentials. We don't have a record, and we still fucked. Yeah, that's one of the top 100 schools in the country, Pepperdine. My man got a master's degree from there, homie, and still to this day can't get a job that's worth what he does. Look at the chat. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And the excuse was he was too qualified. Yep. If you think I'm bullshitting, just read the fucking chat room if you one of those people on the sideline thinking black people are just complaining. This is our reality for the square, for the nigga that is from the hood but didn't bang. That's the majority of us. We got all this propaganda telling us we gangsters. Then you got the other half using that propaganda against us and say, well, if black people just get their act together, why the fuck do I gotta answer for some degenerate ass nigga who chose a different path for his life? I'm telling you right now, if you're not from Black America, if you're not Black American, we don't need to. If you're in the United States, we don't need to study you. As a matter of fact, if I'm going to study you, I'm going to study you at home. If I'm going to study a Dominican, I'm going to go to Santo Domingo and study a Dominican. If I'm going to study a Nigerian, I am going to go to Lagos to study a Lagos, Nigeria to study one. If I'm going to study a goddamn Ethiopian, a Tanzanian, a Saudi Arabian, I'm going to go where you come from to study you, because if I'm going to be scientific with it, I have to study you in your natural habit to get a full understanding of what you are. You can't study a flower if it's planted in sand. I can only get a true gist of what you are at home. If I'm going to be all the way honest. For those of you who aren't from America saying that Black Americans need to study you, I don't mind studying you. When I go on vacation to visit your homeland, I'll study the fuck out of you, because that's who you really are. When you come to America, you're propagandized. I know that. Why? Because I'm propagandized. My mom was propagandized when she was a child. My brother, my sister, my uncle, my cousin. We're all propagandized. If you're raised in American schools, if you watch American media, you're propagandized. So I'm already knowing your propaganda is even worse than mine, because at least I got to see the real thing with my own natural two eyes. You didn't. You saw us on TV and thought that you knew us. Surprise, surprise, motherfucker. This is who we are. We are a hardworking group of people. We are a loving group of people. We are an accepting group of people. But that acceptance has been taken for a weakness. When it comes to music, let's get on music real quick. And this is why, just to be very clear to the non-Black Americans, to the immigrants, to people who are asking, why are Black Americans, I appreciate the Cash App, Aaron. Why are Black Americans on this with the music? Why is they ain't like us? They not like us. Why is that such a hook for us? Because we're waking up as a people, man. We're tired of people trying to take our culture, our music. We saw it with jazz. We saw it with disco. And we since have wrestled those genres back, house, getting them back one by one. And so when it comes to our music, understand this is about music. And this is why it's so offensive when they say Black American music is for everybody. No, it's not. No, it's not. Because music, now it's for, let me take it back. It is for, because it's levels to this. Let me back up. I misspoke. It's levels to this. And one level it is for everybody. Because we're such a humanitarian people, we're such great at putting music out. We're going to put something out that everybody can take, and that's what music does, and get their own perception of what's being said. So we as Black Americans, we know they ain't like us as for foundational Black Americans and everybody else, because it's in response to Drake saying you're trying to free the slaves. So we understand that. But if you're from Bangladesh, you can listen to that song and be like, yeah, them Indian motherfuckers ain't like us. If you from Pakistan, you can be like, yeah, them Uzbekistan niggas ain't like us. If you from the Caribbean, if you from the Dominican, you can say those Haitians ain't like us. And so I get it. So on that level, it is for everybody. On that level. So our service of the world, you're welcome. But as far as claiming part of our culture, just because you like the music, just because you can take a song that we created and metamorphosize it. I said metamorphosize it. What's up, Brandon? I appreciate the Cash App. And morph it into your own thing. It doesn't mean you can touch the culture. Capiche? Because music is an extension of the culture. Music comes out of your cultural experience. The music is an end result of an artist's life experience. When a Black artist creates a song, a songwriter, it's because of an experience that they've gone through, or an experience that they've observed other people go through in their neighborhood growing up. It's these observations that we've had through periods and times in our lives when we're describing characters in songs. These are people in our neighborhoods. This is the crackhead down the street. This is the barber. This is the preacher. This is the preacher's auntie. And we're going to put them all into one person. And that's just what we do. So when you're listening to the music, you're listening to Black Americans basically catalog our experiences and put it out to you in music format. Same thing with the music that goes behind it. You guys see, hip hop got you niggas thinking that the beat maker is doing something special. Although he is doing something special on a certain level, the beat maker, the DJ is sampling the music and the emotion that went into the music and just taking 2 bars of something and looping it. Good job. But if you want to understand the culture, you got to understand the music that went into the sample. Back before the 80s, and even now when artists have a good enough budget, but it was a staple for the 80s and prior to the 80s. The music arrangement pre-1985 mimicked the soul of the song, the message of the song. Let me give you an example. Tears of a Clown, Smokey Robinson. That song, Tears of a Clown. You listen to the lyrics. The music. That song, Tears of a Clown, the song itself, which was actually written by Stevie Wonder, is mimicking a circus. You listen to a song like Zoom by the Commodores, one of my favorite songs, my father-in-law ensemble. The song is about, when we listen to Zoom, I'd Like to Fly Away. Listen to the arrangement around it. Dun, 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 dun. You just feel like it when you get to that vamp. Excuse my singing, but the music behind it, all those sounds and creepy, eerie feelings you hear within the song, it mimics. When you listen to songs like All Night Long by Lionel Richie, that song was a party. Mr. Carmichael told me he brought in over 100 musicians to complete that song because he could never get the right mix. But the song, the music behind the song imitated the song. Why am I saying that? I remember asking Mr. Carmichael some of the secret to his sauce when he did Zoom, or whether he did a song for Kenny, arranged something for Kenny Rogers, because he arranged a Grammy winning hit for Kenny Rogers and Atlanta Star in the same year. Well, Atlanta Star didn't win the Grammy, but you get what I mean. He said, when I was putting together my music and making arrangements for Motown, he will oftentimes go out to the movies. And he said he got this actually from Duke Ellington, because Duke Ellington said he did this also. And Duke Ellington, when he was making this, and Mr. James Carmichael followed in the steps of Duke Ellington when he did this. Sir Duke would go to the movie theater and spend all day at the theater, so he can not only get a temperature of what's going on, since you can't, sometimes you go to the movies and you can see what's going on, especially back then in the 70s and the 60s. You can see what people like. You can see people's reactions to different movies. Then he said sometimes he would oftentimes just get in his car and just drive through LA, just drive through town and go to different parts of town that had different cultures. And if he was writing something for Kenny Rogers, he may go to a country western bar and just hang out if he was writing an arrangement for Kenny Rogers, versus if he was writing an arrangement for Atlantic Star, he might go down to the Mavericks Flat to see what the people are feeling. So in these arrangements that have since been sampled, some of his arrangements like Dancing Machine, some of his arrangements like I'll Be There, and different stuff, these arrangements that have since been sampled were his sonic interpretation of his environment. You understand what I'm saying? So the lyrics are an expression of a person's environment, immediate environment, home. The music behind the lyrics is an expression of the environment the song is being recorded in, taking place, set in rhythm and tone with the song. And that's how music is put together. Music is the end result of a cultural experience. It is an expression of a cultural experience. Talk to any anthropological person, any anthropologist, any sociologist, any social scientist on earth, they will agree with me. Okay? This isn't the one talking, this is science. Whatever that culture's experience is what the music is a rhythm to. And our cultural experience has a different rhythm. Your culture has timbales. Your culture has merengue boxes and steel drums, congos, and other shit. Our culture expresses itself through drum set, bass, keys, guitar, and a singing ass black woman. With respect to the fellas that can sing too, but nothing can deliver the spirit like the voice of a black woman, period. Nothing. Fellas, when it comes, we second. When a woman steps up and sings and stands on that stage, like when I saw Jennifer Holliday at the Hollywood Bowl sing "And I Am Telling You," and very few people, the black folks knew who she was, but no one else did. And I saw her do that. Or if you've been to church, or if you've seen the Clark sisters sing, or if you've seen, man, you know the voice of what a black woman can do. And our music is an expression of that. And the black woman's voice comes from seeing her children ripped apart from her, seeing her husband and her man get cut off, not only physically castrated through the decades in pre-Jim Crow, but economically castrated. Seeing her son get shipped off into prison and her daughter be marginalized for a whore. All of that expression comes through her voice. And all music created out of America comes from that nucleus, comes from that pie. It comes from that. And yes, you like the music, non-black Americans. And a lot of y'all are goddamn good at it. Pete Rock is goddamn good at being a producer. Busta Rhymes is goddamn good at rapping. Fat Joe, meh. Fat Joe is the J-Lo of rap. That's what I'm gonna call him. Fat Joe is the Jennifer Lopez of rap. You just hear it because a few people from your culture like who you are. We wouldn't miss you if you never came or didn't come. But Pete Rock is actually pretty goddamn good. Busta Rhymes is actually goddamn good. We've had countless people who are non-black Americans that are good at what we do. Tom Bell, arranger for the Philadelphia Sound, Jamaican-born, Philadelphia raised, goddamn good at what he do. Oscar Peterson, Caribbean of descent, Canadian-born pianist, one of my favorite piano players of all time. Go and listen to goddamn Caravan by Oscar Peterson if you want a class on music. That's Oscar Peterson and Dizzy Gillespie. If you want to hear some goddamn Oscar Peterson, man. So I'm here to say, I'm not here to say that that just because you're not black American, you're not good or you shouldn't participate in our culture. Some of that Oscar Peterson though, man. Man, that motherfucker right here. Listen to some of this. That's that Oscar Peterson right there. Woo! Hot. Especially this part right here. No, here it is right here. No, not that part. I can't play too much because we on YouTube. We on YouTube, I can't play that much. Woo! That was Oscar Peterson into Dizzy. Oh, some of the best jazz ever. Oh my God, I want to play that song right now. I love that song. Wave by Oscar Peterson. Oh my God. Rod Timberton's a white boy. Great fucking songwriter. Loose Ends out of the UK. Man, I'm not here to say people that are not of black descent don't make good black American music. I'm not here to say that. But I am here to say you better draw a fucking boundary and respect the culture and the mold that we created for you to express yourself. That's what I'm saying. We can't stop people because there's always gonna be some black person saying, man, we always giving people always want to imitate us. Yes, black people, know when you've won culturally. People do want to imitate us. Yes, they do. And it's gonna always happen. When it's that fucking good, when it's that good, when you make music that's just good, when you make music that's like when you make music that when it starts off like this.
A good evening.
Y'all know come on now. Y'all look, I didn't even play a full second. And chat room, y'all know what the fuck I just played. When you make music that just starts like this.
Do not attempt to adjust your radio.
Of course it's going to be imitated. Of course. How could they not imitate it? Right, Fetty Magazine, imitation is the greatest form of flattery. But it's on us to step up. And back to my immigrant brothers and sisters, y'all came into an America where black people had gotten very quiet, very docile. That's not who we are. It's just a time that we have been for a while. Because we thought we won something in the 60s. Because we thought we won something in the 60s. So we calmed down and chilled out for a little bit. We are a people that our music is a reaction to our environment. And we created some dope shit. And when people from other cultures, you hear it, you want to create something in that mode. Fine. But it's not your culture. Hands off. It's not. The same way I'm going to keep my hands off your culture out of respect for your culture. That music you hear is the end result of experiences. When George Clinton made that song, Make My Fun to P-Funk, the story behind that song goes, he and Bootsy Collins were in a car together somewhere. I think they were actually in Canada, actually. Or Buffalo, Upper New York. They were in Upper New York. And they were driving down the street together, and they both saw a UFO. And the UFO, according to those two, abducted them, and they don't know what happened. And then they said, basically, George said, 12 hours later or the next day, he was back in his car. It was some wonky shit. And out of that UFO abduction, because y'all got to get that Mothership Connection album. I love that shit, boy. I love that album right there, boy. This album right here. Let me see. Man. This right here. Well, come on now. That's cultural expression. The music itself isn't the culture, people. That's what I'm trying to get you to realize. Hip hop itself isn't the culture. Funk itself isn't the culture. It's an expression of the culture. And there's a soundtrack to go along with the culture. And there's not a monolith of the culture. A portion of our culture is expressed through funk. Another portion of our culture is expressed through disco. Another portion of our culture is expressed through hip hop, or EDM, or house, or neo soul, or soul. It depends on the time, the location, and the mood and the temperament. Hell, it's a sunny day in LA right now. I'm telling y'all right now, when I'm done with this, nigga, sunny days like this, nigga, that's Earth, Wind, and Fire. That's that's Earth, Wind, and Fire. That's Parliament. God damn it. That's Anderson .Paak. That's the Dog Pound. That's what's his name? Just dropped a new album. DJ Quick just dropped a new album. That's DJ Quick, nigga. Yeah, appreciate that E-Class 77. That's Snoop. That's Blue Carpet Treatment right there. I'm in LA. This is Good Kid, Bad City. That's what this is. This is If These Walls Can Talk. Nigga, that's what this weather is saying right now at this time of day. Now tonight, when it gets to be 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 7 o'clock, it's going to slow down. I'm probably going to listen to some War, some Frankie Beverly and Mays Golden Time of Day during that time of the day. I might listen to some of that. And then as it gets darker, then it's time to listen to some Jill Scott, It's time to listen to some Erykah Badu, some Blackbirds. It's time to listen. What I'm saying is this: our music is not only an expression of the culture, it's not only an expression of our location, it's also an expression of the time of day. How do you feel today? This morning, I woke up and I played Bubbles by Herbie Hancock. This is just what I felt in the morning. When the morning came, when it was the morning time, this morning, I just felt I was just feeling this song right here. No. I was just feeling this song right here. I was feeling that Herbie because I got up at 7 this morning. The sun was nice and bright, and that song was it's just so. And Herbie's out of Chicago. That's Chicago music right there. That's Chicago music. But but I still feel that Chicago shit. Because we have one story that's subdivided with more detailed stories. But culturally, our music is an expression. The music isn't the culture, it's an expression of the culture. I was playing some of that Herbie this morning, Man Child album. That is some shit to meditate to. Oh, and also, I've been on this album. I'm going to do my next Incense and Ashtrays. I'm going to do one on new music that's out today, music of today. I've been doing like a whole bunch of old school music. I appreciate John Gittery. I appreciate the Cash App. Brandon, Aaron, I thank y'all for the Cash Apps. But this is what I've been listening to. This new Robert, where is it at? Nah, I want to go to Apple Music. Browse. Here we go. This right here. This has been my shit right here, boy. No, not the black radio. This one, let go. This is some shit to meditate to right here. Nigga, this past Friday, I was on a mushroom trip. The homie had some mushroom. We went to a shindig last week, and the homie had some shrooms in a drink, and I forgot to leave it with him. So I had to partake before the shroom drink went bad. I would be, who am I to not partake? And so I was shrooming this past Friday, listening to this Robert Glasper out of Houston, Texas, and this meditation shit right here. But I'm still hip hop because I'm still black and black American. And we jump around because these are all cultural expressions. It's not our culture itself. It's an expression of our culture. And if you choose to express yourself through the means of our culture, if you're using a drum set, bass, and keys, or what do you really call it? A version of the drums, that's drum machine, a version of the bass, the 808. Those are all knockoffs of the original thing. You're expressing yourself through the Black American cultural means, through either instruments we invented outright or someone else invented and put in the hands of a Black American and showed the world how to express themselves through that instrument. 100%, it's always one of the two. We didn't invent the electric keyboard, but Herbie Hancock showed you motherfuckers how to make it happen. We did not invent the vocoder, but Herbie Hancock and Roger Troutman showed you how to use it. We didn't invent auto-tune. Auto-tune was invented actually for Cher, so she can hit her notes. So they're trying to make Cher sound like Shaka Khan, but they couldn't, so they invented auto-tune for her as something to clean up people's inability. And there was the Black American that turned the auto-tune into an instrument. According to the auto-tune creator himself, it was never meant to be an instrument. But the minute we got a hold of it, God damn it, it became one. Have some respect for us as a culture. You guys of foreign descent, you guys have been deceived. you're dealing with a group of people who are resistant to the bullshit, who fight the bullshit, who are repulsed by the bullshit, who through the 60s and the 70s, we thought our grandparents fought and made some advances for us. And they did make some advances for us. They did. They made plenty of advances for us. So if you've immigrated to this country in the last 20, 30, 40 years, you've come across the Black American populace that for the most part has been asleep. We've been just chilling. We've been told we were a part of the American dream, and so we believed it. We've been told civil rights was for us, and so we believed it. We all went to school thinking that civil rights legislation was going to work for us. We didn't know after we graduated college. Well, I did because I'm from LA. The rest of you niggas just lost affirmative action. We lost affirmative action the year I enrolled in college, 1998, 99. I never experienced affirmative action once in my life. When I got to college in 99, affirmative action was already over because they ended that shit like in 96. I think it was Prop 87, 187, one of those. So we in California, we lost affirmative action back in the 90s. Okay? So I still went through with it, with college, thinking that it would still be an opportunity, only to find out that all of those advances my grandparents fought for went to people of color, and those people of color didn't share with us. It went to minorities who shitted on us, and we stayed quiet. We thought we had a partnership. We didn't know Africans would hold on to African booty scratcher this long. Goddamn. And let me tell you something, African people. If you held on to, if you think us saying Africa, or if you take that as a negative connotation, that means you have a negative connotation of Africa in your mind. Because somebody can call me whatever they want, and you can throw a negative connotation to FBA, to Black American, to ADOS all day. I'm not going to receive it because I have so much pride in it. You could throw shade at Black people, call themselves American Indians, Native Americans, the original indigenous to America, Black American, FBA, ADOS. You can throw shade all day at those titles and I won't feel it because I got respect for those titles and I love those titles. So no matter what ill intentions you have at throwing it shade that way, I won't receive it because of my perception of those titles. So if you receive and you're in your fucking 40s and 50s and 30s still angry at being called an African when you were 12, that means your perception of Africa is fucked up and you need to fix it. Because I have pride in Africa. Even though I don't identify with Africa culturally, because I have my own culture here, I got pride in Africa because when I see Africa, I see the Mali Empire. I see the 18th dynasty. I see how those South Africans are fighting back to this day. You dig what I'm saying? I see pride when I see Africa. For me, I understand Africa as going through a problem right now. Africa's going through some shit right now. Africa was the crown jewel of the world for a long time. Africa is in a down point in its history, just like us as Black Americans. We are at a down point in our history right now. That's all. If you pull back and look at this through totality, you know, this little 300, 400 year problem we've been going through is a blip on the radar. It's a blip on the radar. It truly is. It doesn't define who the fuck we are. It just means we got some shit to resolve. Everybody got their time in the sunshine. My life, my life, my life, my life in the sunshine. Do, 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 do. Look at the day. The day has the morning, the dawn, the high point, the dusk, and the dark. 4 seasons in the day. Morning, afternoon, evening, dark. 4 seasons in the year. You have the spring. That's when the plants root up. That's when the phoenix rise from the ashes in the spring. You got the summer when life is vibrant and beautiful. You got the fall when the leaves come down. And you got the winter when it's time to rest. Something that's illustrated by the cards. You got the hearts, which is where we advance. If you're born a heart, this represents the springtime of year. This represents the early season of life, childhood. This represents you being born to express yourself emotionally and to raise and grow your heart and to develop your heart space if you're of the heart suite. Or you might be like me, of the club suite. The club suite represents the summer. It represents when you're born to advance mentally, when you're born to advance in communication. It represents people who talk and your thought processes. Seasons. Everything has a season. Then you have the diamonds. The diamonds represent values, earth. They represent the fall, what's in the ground. They represent values. What are your values? What do you hold true? Are you willing to stick to your motherfucking principles, nigga? Then you got the spades, the winter time of year, the old age represents wisdom. It encompasses all the other cards within it. When you're of old age, when you're in the winter time in your life, it's your job to gather your experiences and lessons learned in the heart, in the mind, in the heart, in the mind with the clubs, and then your values with your diamonds, and you put your heart, your mind, and your values together, and the addition of heart, mind, and value equals wisdom. And that's what old age is about, wisdom. You can't run like you used to. You can't eat what you're used to. You can't talk like you used to. You got to apply wisdom. So everything in life, and if you go to the 7 laws, the 7 hermetic principles and the 7 laws, everything has its time. And everything has its season. So if you look at us as a people of the diaspora, African diaspora, Black American diaspora, the white diaspora, the Asian diaspora, you take that to a bigger scale. Every group of people on this planet, every civilization, every empire is going to have its rise, it's going to have its plateau, it's going to have its decline, and it's going to have its fall. That's life. We just happen to be incarnated during this very, 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 very short time that we're in, because these stories play out over millennia, over centuries. We're just born in a piece of one. We just live in a piece of a century, in a story that's told out over centuries. Here in these same Americas, do you understand that the Aztec Empire is newer than Oxford University over in England? Yeah. Oxford University in England, built by the Black Moors, by the way, is older than the Aztec Empire in Mexico. Do you know that? And the Aztec Empire had a 300-year run. I love driving up to Sequoia here in California and seeing some of those sequoia trees that are 2,800 years old, 1,500 years old, 900 years old. There are trees right now I can drive to in 3 hours up in Sequoia that are older than the Holy Roman Empire. Do you understand that about life? Let's think about it. This is Sunday. This is Sunday. We have in church. Hit that Cash App. Hit that Cash App if you feel in church. And it's extended broadcast of church that we having today. Go to General Sherman. Go to General Sherman. I'm gonna show y'all a picture of General Sherman. Me and my wife, man, I love going on road trips with my wife and going to nature shit like this. I'm gonna show y'all right here, General Sherman. This is General Sherman right here. Big tree up in the Sequoias. Sequoia National Park. That's General Sherman right there. You see General Sherman, y'all? Let's break some life lessons down. This is General Sherman. I love going to this tree. General Sherman is estimated to be between 23 and 2,700 years old. If General Sherman, let's go on the low end, is 2,300 years old, that would place General Sherman at the end of the Greek Empire. Towards the end of the Greek Empire. That would, because the end of the Greek Empire is about 300 BC. So basically, we're talking about the death of Alexander the Great, the person who sacked Egypt. One of the people. Alexander the Great, the rapist, was walking Earth when General Sherman was born here in California. And you don't think there were people here in California during that time? General Sherman was around during the time of Julius Caesar. General Sherman was around after the fall of Caesar and the fall of Rome and the rise of... General Sherman was around during the time of Hannibal. General Sherman was around during the time of the Moors conquering Spain, 711 to 1492. Why am I saying this about General Sherman? I want to put this shit in perspective. Civilizations rise and fall during the lifespan of a tree. You ever think about that? Civilizations rise and fall. Groups of people rise and fall during the lifetime of a tree. We as a people, we're in the fall of our time. We're in the winter of our time. We've already fallen. We're in the winter. But we're coming up on late winter right now. The spring is here. The cards say so. We in Hearts years. 8 of Hearts here to be exact. Astrology says so. Astronomy says so. The times when you look around say so. The fall of Drake, the fake, the rise of Kendrick. These things are playing around and playing on us all day right in front of our face. James, I appreciate the birthday. I'm not birthday, the preaching cash app. Appreciate the cash app. So right now, I'm here to say, be patient, Black people. And to everyone else, you've come to us during a season that we're down. The same reason why you're down and had to immigrate to America. You wouldn't be immigrating here unless you had to. Because your civilization too is in the fall. Like Malcolm X saying, the white man's heaven is a black man's hell. And white society, they're in their summertime right now.
Just like we're in summertime here in LA, it's winter in Australia. It's all relative. Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, they're in wintertime right now. We're in the summer. Some groups are in their summer. We're in our winter. But like the lifetime of a tree, it all can flip and change. But it's not going to flip and change. Within flipping and changing, you have to do something about it. Even the tree needs wind and it needs water to grow fruit. And trees work and fight amongst themselves for these resources. And we as people are in a time where we don't have those resources, but we're fighting to get them, and we're not cool with not having them. So for those of you coming to America, get a clear understanding of what the Black American is. The Black American, there are people we're not cool with wintertime. We're not. We're not cool with the fall. We're accustomed to the summer. We're accustomed to winter. And as long as we're in a position of fall, as long as we're in a position of the time that we're in, we're going to fight. And it doesn't mean shooting people all the time. It means on every front we're being attacked. And we're being attacked culturally. So we're going to fight. And if you step in the way of that fight, you're going to be collateral damage. That's just what it is. You can take it or leave it. But like I started this show, you better study where you are. Study the lay of the land. Study the people. Study the fight that you're in. We as Black Americans, we're in a fight with our cousins. And a lot of us white people are most definitely our cousins. Unfortunately, in too many times, because we're the cousins that got the short end of the stick. Again, I can show you where my family was left land in Natchez, Mississippi in 1855 by their slave master, only to be overruled by the Mississippi state governor saying that Black people, slaves, could not own land in Natchez, Mississippi. It's a family affair. A lot of us got white cousins when you look up in your history. Most of the time, they were cousins by force, but they're still cousins nonetheless. We still, even though that man was a rapist, oftentimes, that blood is still in us. And that side of the blood is used, buffer class immigrant groups, starting with the European immigrants of the 1800s, to keep us away from our inheritance. And then when they ran out of Europeans to bring over, they started bringing you guys over in droves, Asians, Middle Easterners, and then subsequently Black people from around the diaspora. But they've always brought you over to stay as a buffer class between me and my cousin, 3 times removed. That's what you're coming into. You're being used as a buffer for them not having to face their cousins that they stole land, property, money, ideas, inventions, creations from. The people that they co-created this country with. Going back to Benjamin Banneker, Robert Smalls. Yeah. From inventing the elevator to my 3 times great granddaddy inventing the automatic railroad crossing. We built this country intellectually, physically, spiritually. Right, Black Man Bang. Drake said you rapping like you trying to free the slaves. Why would you not want us free, Drake? Yeah, that's somebody from outside the culture speaking. So just understand and be very clear on the environment that you're sitting in. You're sitting on an environment where we're never going to give it up. As long as we're on this land, we're going to want our share of what we created from our cousins that used you as buffer classes to keep us from.
And when I say our cousins, I'm talking about the black American. I'm talking about those of us who've been here. Because the majority of us can go back to a rapist that took something from us. And sometimes it wasn't rape. There were free black people in the North openly marrying white people. That happened too. That happened too. I'm not going to act like that didn't happen. But they nigger offspring weren't allowed to maintain whatever wealth they did accumulate together until that goddamn much. So I'm not here to say that we innocent in all things being and we're just these precious. No, we make mistakes too. Players fuck up. That's part of downfall. We got internal issues. We got internal problems. But we working on that right now. And if you're not from here and you think you're going to jump in the middle of that, don't be mad when you feel like you just got hit by a train, because we ain't got time for that shit. Either you're going to jump in and help us or you're going to get the fuck out the way. It's no other way around it, is what I'm trying to say. Because yes, we do have coons and people who are going to ignore this and act like it doesn't exist. But there's always going to be a critical mass of us who are going to face it and say something and do something about it. And as long as you're here in the United States of America, you're going to have to deal with it until it's right. So as I leave out and close out today's message, I want y'all to know this. Black Americans have been very good to you. We have not put you through the ringer that white Americans put white people through as they immigrated here throughout the 1800s and the 1900s, 1700s. White people who immigrated here from dusty, trashy, shitty-ass European countries, people like Donald Trump, was forced to change his last name from Drumpf to Trump because America did not want Europeanized names in America. If your name was Christopherson, your name is now Christopher. If you had a 4-syllable last name as a white person immigrating here throughout the 1800s and 1900s, you got a new name when you came through Ellis Island, whether you liked it or not. You had to leave your cultural identity home. They allowed the Italians to bring pizza and sandwiches. Everybody else, keep your culture at home. Those people paid a major price to immigrate to America, to now assimilating into whiteness and white society. White people hung them, white people shot them, and if any of them, like John Brown, aided with a black person, they killed them. These are facts. If your last name and you're allowed to identify as white and keep the last name Gomez, you're winning. If you're from Africa or the Caribbean and you're black and you're allowed to keep Azubuike as your name, you're winning. If the worst you could say Black America did was call you an African booty scratcher, you're winning. If you immigrated to America at a time to where you can benefit from social programs post the Civil Rights Act, you're winning. Take your win. Just take your win. Because America is setting you too up for a downfall, like they do everybody else. You did not pay the political price. Even Europeans paid just 100 years ago to come to America. You did not pay that price. Them white people were vicious and brutal to them motherfuckers. Brutal. And that's part of the reason why a lot of white people can't understand white supremacy when black people complain. Because hell, in a lot of white people's minds is shit. You know what they did to my uncle? What do you mean racism? Do you know what they did to my grandma? You better study them people that you so busy worshiping. You better study them. We ain't got to study you. You here. You better study them and you better study us and find out where you fit if you want to sustain. Because whatever tricks they played on us as black people, you can guarantee they coming for you too. All right? With that being said, I want to thank y'all for listening. I want y'all to go to thewamb.com. And if you're in LA, again, I'm being awarded. This is some dope shit. I am being awarded this week for my documentary. It's bigger than hip hop, the Black American Music Family Tree. This felt pretty goddamn good. People out there watching your work, watching you do what you do, man, feels real good. Let me show you here. Where's the flyer? No, that's not the flyer. Where's the flyer? Here it is. Come on out if you're in LA. My documentary is bigger than hip hop, the Black American Music Family Tree. It's been awarded by Ace Magazine. And they're a part of BET Awards weekend. So they are kicking off their BET Awards Experience weekend on Thursday with a comedy show and award. And I'm not cracking jokes in this one. I'm not on stage cracking jokes. They actually awarded my documentary for that. All right? So I want to thank my man Brandon Bell for nominating me and the people Ace Magazine for you know, people they saw the documentary and they said it. They told me it had a profound impact on what they was doing and what they saw. And them in a music-based magazine, they said that, you know, they liked what they saw and it was impactful. So they're giving me an award. So you can donate to the GoFundMe for the second installment of it, or you can just visit the shop. Anytime you buy something from the shop, you support the documentary, you support me. My course is up. My music history, 100 Years of Black American Music, is up right now on thewamb.com. Sign up for the email list because I am getting ready to unroll a new card reading course also, an updated card reading course. So hit me up. And I want you to remember this before I get the fuck up out of here. There are no perfect messengers, only perfect messages for those willing to pick up the game. My name is Dewan. I'm out.